So for the purpose of this test, I'm going to use the Slot Invasion and the Slotting Plus guides as an example against the stock Policar. I have all the data right there for you, but we're measuring the bulkhead width here, the length, the post, everything, the blade thickness, and the length. One thing I want to say, there's a confusion sometimes, folks, with the Slotting Plus. It says PCS, Personalized Cutting System. That means that this blade is designed to be trimmable. Okay, you see the lines there? It's designed for you to trim it and to shape it for your track, your conditions. So this isn't just a plug and play guide. You do have to trim it, but that's what it's for. So just bear that in mind if you're going to choose that guide for this modification. Anyway, I'll have the data right there, just a little image for you. You can use it as a quick reference. Now we can move on. So when choosing the guide, what you're looking for here on your model is, that's right, clearance between the front of the bulkhead right there and the outer edge of the chassis right there of the opening. You don't want to make any contact. So here in stock form on the Ferrari here, we're good to go with the stock guide. Now on the Lotus, you'll see here that I've sanded that away. I've used a milling bit in my Dremel, very, very carefully, mind you, and then finished it up with an X-Acto blade to give as much as I could, just to test it, just to see. And here's our Slotting Plus, which is the biggest one, not just the blade, but it's the bulkhead that we were worried about with the clearance. And there we go. So we are good. So I remove that material. We don't have any contact between the top edge of the blade and the chassis, and plenty of clearance. Looking good, just like that. But that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to modify this car a little bit in order to swap these guides out. So nothing's plug and play here. Warm up the Dremel. Okay, we've got that done. Time to move on. Even if you don't do this mod, you should try sanding this area right here in between the guide and the chassis, just lightly. I use a little bit of 2000 grit and kind of a deburring effect. Sometimes there's a little bit of flash there that can cause the guide to be a little bit tighter, not have the travel you want, and it just it works a charm. Just a little bit, just a few passes is all you need. Cleans it right up. And trimming these, easy as it gets, sprue cutter. Just I'll start here, right there on that first line, and just take some material off. Don't worry about it being uneven. We'll get to that in a second. Then I'll go back here and take one off, just as an example. Alright, now you can see a little bit of unevenness there. File, good old-fashioned file. Just go ahead, give it a little bit like that. Good to go. Now to do some other contouring, you can just use heavy grit sandpaper. You want to get rid of these hard edges all the way around the guide, just on each side, on the bottom here and on the front. Sometimes when the cars deslot, let's say on wood tracks with copper tape, for example, these sharp edges on this guide, when they come out, they can drag across the track. They might catch on the tape, stuff like that. So it's nice to contour these off, just make them nice and smooth, and a little sandpaper does the trick. Only takes a few minutes. You'll be good to go. As far as braid, I'm going with the softer copper braid. I can use the slot car corner. I use that a lot, or you can just use some of this NSR, the 02, really thin, so it's a pretty good braid. A lot of racers like to use it, and I start off with about 3/4 of an inch And this is basically where I go with it, just a little bit past the rear of the bulkhead. Just trim and adjust for your own race taste. I'll use ferrules for the wire hookup, so I just cut enough of the insulation back to when you slip the ferrule on there, you have a little excess right there, and you can just bend it back just like that. There we go. Pull it up against there. There you go, just like that. Give it with the sleeve. Now what I like to do is just take pliers and just give it a light crimp right there on the end. You don't have to overdo it, just a little bit. Okay, there, you can see that, I'm sure. Right, there it is. And then we're ready to go in here and drop right down. Good pressure. You can use your pliers again, and you can make sure that it's tight. There you go. But we're going to do one more thing. So you have to keep these wires at an angle like this because you don't have a lot of clearance between the tops of the wires and the bottom inside of the body. So we're going to have to keep this at an angle, but just to make sure they're secure, a little E6000 or I have shown you before, liquid electrical tape, and I'll just put a little bit right here on a toothpick, just very little, and give it a little bit just around there. It's a pretty snug fit, but this ensures a nice flexible area right there. That's what you want. You don't want it to be brittle. And that's it. Just a little bit. Matter of fact, I went too far. We'll take that away. There we go. We're good to go. Let that dry, and trust me, it's stronger than you think. Good to go. Nice smooth movement. It's exactly what you want. That silicone really does the trick. So there you have it for your install. As far as performance, doing the rest of the mods in the front, we'll get to that in part 2. This was just about installing this guide. Folks have asked, is it possible? It is possible. Just have to do a little bit of work. But hey, that's half the fun, right? Sure it is. Anyway, always look forward to your comments online. We'll see you there.